All right, hello, coffee makers, not coffee takers. He is the master of cyber farms, Alfredzo B, Nash Jr., and I, the people's chief, Dr. Joseph J. Burt-Miller Jr. We are your hosts for the Cyber Coffee Hour. Alfredzo Nash and I are products of Mount Vernon, New York, sharing our experiences and stories and sharing those of our amazing guests. We aim to share knowledge, elevate understanding, and foster a sense of belonging in this vast cyberspace. For today's show, we'll have a coffee chat with vCISO and the founder of Narito Cybersecurity, Christina Stokes. Now, Christina Stokes is a vCISO and founder of Narito Cybersecurity with over 15 years of professional experience. She also hosts on cyber and AI on an ITSP magazine podcast and writes about cybersecurity topics on the oncyber.ai blog. Christina has an MS in cybersecurity and an MBA. Christina works to help people and businesses stay safe with their cybersecurity needs. Christina's work and interests include companies across different industries, AI and emerging technology, GRC, and the international cybersecurity space. When not at her desk, she enjoys spending time with her family. Christina, welcome to the Cyber Coffee Hour.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to see you both.
Awesome.
Yeah, glad to have you on the show. Appreciate you coming through. As we, as we're recording now on this Memorial Day weekend, of course, just remembering those who've, paid the ultimate sacrifice for this country as we are, out having fun, spending time with our families. Take a little time to just remember that as we able to enjoy these liberties because of those who've paid that ultimate price for us. Well, speaking of which, I guess Christina, what's been on first, how you been doing, and how you been spending your weekend so far?
I'm good, just over here chilling in Boston, trying to stay cool for once. It's been warming up, so.
Okay. So it got a little cooler today.
Yeah, it's supposed to. We had a couple of hot days. Now it's supposed to cool back down.
Nice.
Before it goes back up again. It's just, I never know what to wear. I keep my winter clothes out all year long.
That's almost like so I was just recently over in California, and it almost sounds like that because during the day, it feels real nice, and then as it gets later in the afternoon, it can get like cold.
Yeah,
so you definitely have to keep like a sweater or jacket with you like every day. It's
Yeah.
weird, but
it does. Nighttime is freezing out there. It's like a whole different world.
I felt
it's
that
summer
way
and winter in
Virginia,
one
too.
day.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. I felt that way in Virginia. It's weird, these climate issues that's going on, but you can't convince me when it's 80 degrees in the morning and 30 degrees at night.
Right.
That's nuts. That's nuts.
I'd give up if I was a weather person. I'd be like, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Whatever.
Column A, column B.
Right.
You're on your own. Alfredzo, how about you, man? How you been spending your weekend so far?
Well, so far, I think, it is kind of emotional for me too. So 2016, around this time, I lost my dad. So after this episode, I'm going to be grilling and chilling to the max. Trying to remember, like you said, those that made the ultimate sacrifice, as well as my dad. And I'm going to be hanging out with my family the rest of the day, or well into the wee hours of the night. But I'm putting my grill together. I'm getting lights together. I'm getting a whole, this is new to me too, finally having a backyard. I'm kind of like piecing stuff together and trying to make it ready for my family,
No, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. All right. So again, Christina, thank you for being on the show. Definitely appreciate you coming through. And so, and as if we have talked already before, Christina, I know that you have a very impressive career in cybersecurity. Spent over 15 years, of course. Spent over 15 years in founding Narito Cybersecurity. So, like, what initially sparked your interest, in this field, and how has your journey evolved?
So I come from a coding background. I was working, as a hobby, like as a teenager, was doing all sorts of things and like hacking stuff, trying to get into things that you shouldn't get into, seeing just if I could. And my career went in a different direction. I didn't, directly go into anything formally tech, but I kept getting all of the technical assignments at work because I had that background and I, had that understanding. But as my career progressed, I started drifting back into security. So identity management and managing ISO 27001 for companies and things like that. But one of the driving factors is I've always wanted to keep people safe. And then, we saw the explosion of social media. So there were questions in my mind, especially as a parent, about data and the safety involved with those things too. And is it safe for adults? Is it safe for kids? And so all of those different questions I had in my mind kind of led me into this career because I was searching for those answers and searching for ways not to just keep myself and my family safe, but other people that I knew as well. And then that eventually, grew and translated into keeping businesses safe too.
So as the host of On Cyber and AI and writer for oncyber.ai blog, you're deeply engaged in this conversation around AI emerging technologies, right? So how will AI transform cybersecurity in the next 5 to 10 years? And in addition to being the teenagers I read about, tell me you're not building Skynet beta.
Not intentionally, no.
Okay.
No, but I mean, it is becoming a part of our everyday. I mean, as I was just recently at the RSA conference, and I mean, there was talk about it, the previous one in 2023, but I saw so much more of it as a part of the conversation, and now being included as a part of a lot of the tools that are being used and products that companies are selling too. So I think we're just going to see more of it really start to change, not just our regulations and our laws, but how companies are using them, whether that is to support their employees and the jobs that they're doing, or how they're implementing it in their tools for data management. We're seeing it in cybersecurity being implemented in various tools and products as well, right, to help automate some of. It's trying to take my job. No, I'm just playing.
Perfect.
I don't think it will. I don't think it's there yet. I think there's some time before that, but it's part of the everyday language now. So,
but I mean, I know we joke about, but there are some people that actually fear that. Some people do fear that AI will, take their job or replace them, or and I think that has to just come. I think that really just boils down to just not having a full understanding of what AI is and what it's capable of doing, and also I mean, AI still needs humans to get to operate it, to feed it. So
yeah.
So I think to alleviate those fears, I think it will behoove people to get that understanding, to learn more about it, to read upon it, and I think you'll see a shift. I mean, you won't have that fear, but more of an understanding, even in some cases, even embrace it. See how they could use AI for their everyday operations and how it can make their jobs better, as opposed to replacing their job.
Yeah, I totally dig it. I'm gonna borrow a line from a gentleman I met at a Make Your Fear rough. It's got to be 2015, but give or take my memory. He mentioned this during the CubeSat era, where people were building like their CubeSats, and everybody didn't know what it was, and it was new. And he said, "Well, just like the railroad and the gold rush, I want to be the person that makes the shovels." Sandy Atunes, if you're out there, shout out to you, because you're right. Cyber folks are making the shovels and pickaxes for this AI gold rush. We don't have the trains yet moving westward, as history might say, but we're definitely the ones building the shovels and pickaxes to mine out these AI models and platforms. So and that was 2015 when he was saying that about CubeSats, and now everybody knows about them today. So the same thing around your estimate, right? 5, maybe even 2 to 5 years. Let's be real. It's happening so quickly that we will be training the models in cyber offensive and defensive operations, right?
Yeah.
So and harken to that, because I don't want to get off too much, but it sounds like your work encompasses various industries and international cybersecurity issues like those that we mentioned. Our jobs are at stake, theoretically.
Yeah.
What are some unique challenges that you see in different sectors and face regarding cybersecurity across those sectors?
One of the areas that I've been working in, that I've been seeing an impact in, are companies that have European clients, or any kind of usage by people out in Europe. Because there was recently the AI EU Act that passed, the EU AI Act. So that is informing how companies are operating and doing business.
Right.
So I get a lot of questions about that, but I also, like, if companies are working and they have that overlap, it's, well, what do they need to do? And it's different depending on what industry it is, what their product is. It's very nuanced. You know, we're seeing changes in that area as well. So
is that regulation harken to like what we've seen with GDPR and all the other folks, or is this a level up as well?
It's like a level up, but then it's gonna like filter down and inform, you know, everything beneath it. And then the US also has to respond in a way to incorporate, you know, what not incorporate, but figure out what we're doing based on, you know, what the others are doing too. And like we did see that before, like GDPR you mentioned. So then that, you know, in turn changed what we were doing here in the US. But, you know, there are a lot of different overlaps internationally, and that's a space that I'm interested in too.
Sounds like a global gold rush to me.
Yeah. It is interesting though to see, like, especially the impact it has on other industries. For example, I've had I know some actors in the entertainment industry, and there's always the question of, will it replace them entirely? Because now you've got these videos that can be created. You can take your voice and, you know, they can make you basically say anything. But, you know, so there's all of that question. And then the question of, well, who owns the image? Like, I know Keanu Reeves, because I'm a fan.
Are we all?
Right?
I mean, at this point, are we all like
the internet's boyfriend? But he had, like, you know, at the start of the Matrix in like 90s, early 2000s, that he had a conversation about his digital image. And there was an interview that he did a few years ago where they were talking about that, how he actually had that written in to contracts that he owned his digital image. I don't think a lot of actors are thinking about that. And his voice, his likeness, all of it. So he owns that, where, you know, some of these actors who have participated in movies and things like that and didn't, you know, have that written into their contract. Now there's a question of, well, can that be taken and used elsewhere? And do they have any ownership over it, or do they not? So, but yeah, I don't think it's, I mean, you can still tell if you see a video or something made with AI, you can still tell it's not the real thing, you know?
It's getting better.
Yeah.
Definitely when when we talk about like deep fakes and things of that nature. I mean, yes, Christina, to your point, earlier on, you could definitely tell it's very, very quite obvious that, you know, it was a computer or AI generated, you know, video or image. But like now, I think as time has gone on, it's definitely improved. And
it has, and it will continue to, which is scary.
Very scary.
Right. So it's getting harder to decipher whether this is real or, you know, an AI generated video or image.
People are gonna be like, it wasn't me, it was AI. I swear.
Right. Our homie Keanu Reeves is like, he sounds like he has the cyber defense, is ownership the only cyber defense, like it's proprietary, because again, a lot of folks don't have, like you said, that capability to own every single, even social content, right? You put it out there, but you don't really own it. The platform,
right? Yeah.
So does Keanu Reeves project that through the Matrix? Like, did he foresee the cyber defense?
Yes, right. Yes. What inside information does he have?
Right.
What are you not telling us, Mr. Reeves?
Right.
I think that there was an article, at least maybe a year or two ago, regarding James Earl Jones, because, you know, he did the voice for Darth Vader.
Yes.
And it's a little hazy, but I don't know if he had agreed to do it. But like this discussion was revolving around like using his voice so that way, you know, when he does pass, they could still use his voice for future like Star Wars movies.
Wow.
But again, I think I'm definitely okay with it if you get the permission from the actor or actress to say, hey, okay, yes, you can still use it. You know, of course, they still get the royalties, what have you, that comes with it. But then on the flip side, the problem when you don't get the permission from the actor actress, because just recently the Marvel actress, I don't know why I forget her name.
Scarlett Johansson.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's an incident where they use her voice and she did not get permission, and they used it anyway.
Yeah.
So that's a problem.
That was open AI that did that. Yeah, so she's suing.
Yeah,
that's a big battle right there.
Yeah.
Is it Microsoft on the other side of that?
Oh yeah, that's right. You know, but I mean, I think she should be able to own her own voice.
Absolutely.
You know,
Why wouldn't she be able to?
And it's wild to me that they did that. So even if it was just but if it's so similar that she can think it's herself, that's crazy. And then, you know, there's also the question of, is there a market for it? So for example, if we have, it's like CGI in movies, for example, right? We can do anything with CGI, and like you can have space battles and underwater people, like whatever, anything you wanted. You know, like yesterday I was just watching Ghostbusters with my family the other day, and I was telling my husband, I was like, remember when they actually had to crash the cars into each other? Right? Yeah, I'm like, I was like, see those cars crashing? They're really crashing cars. You know, it's not like a CGI thing. And I found myself recently, like, just watching like snippets of old movies where the explosions and the car crash, like, those were real. They weren't, you know, fake. They weren't just like this digital, version of it. But yeah, I mean, there is that question, like, is there a market for that, or are people going to want to see something that is actually authentic? Like, will the market shift and there'll be this new pocket industry of, you know, things that are authentic, whether it is, you know, a movie, or music or writing, for example, like, because I mean, a lot of people are using, you know, ChatGPT and things to write, but then it's like, I mean, you know, is that real? Is it authentic? Because it's not coming from a human or directly from a human's experience and then what they're conveying. It's coming from a machine that's interpreting data that it was fed, right? So, you know, I think it's a tool. It's a great tool. It's a great support, but it's not a replacement.
Exactly, and I think that's a great point. That's a great way to say it, is because I think a lot of people, they get a little too AI happy, and they just straight up, you know, copy and paste it. And I'm like, yo, this sounds like from a computer. This doesn't sound like you. I think there was something where like a lawyer, I think he got disbarred because
oh my gosh,
he used AI for his cases.
Oh no,
like straight up, like, and yeah. So then now it put into question like his previous cases that he's done, and if he used AI. So I mean, yeah, you got to use it as a tool, like maybe just to get, you know, the thought process going, but don't straight up copy and paste from it. I mean, come on, what are you doing?
So when I was in grad school, we had to use a tool to see if we had plagiarized.
Oh yeah,
the papers, right? Like, did you have to
get kicked out for that still?
Right. Yeah. And this was like, you know, in the mid 2010s. So, and like before you could like insert AI written things. And now I'm like, oh, well, now they got to check it not only to see if you plagiarized, but they got to check, like, did you actually write this? Or did you have an AI write your term paper and you're turning it in, you know? And
one
you're going to get caught.
Right. In addition to that, with that plagiarism and the act of citing, not fighting someone, right? I get generally concerned on the term that we had another guest speak about it, but I want to hear your points as well. I get concerned about the use of AI in like cyber warfare. Right? Like, you know, how do we see this misinformation and deep fakes and all that play into the psychological aspects of these digital battle spaces, if you will, or virtual missions? There you go. I like to say that too.
Well, there are organizations out there, and even nonprofit organizations, that are fighting that, because they do see, I mean, as we've seen, social engineering and misinformation impacting politics in countries all over the world. And so, but we do see that, like, it's AI being used to essentially, you know, populate media with fake articles and things like that. And that's a danger and that's a risk. And so, and that is essentially, you know, one leg of cyber warfare, right? Is all of those things you can do with social engineering. And then now you have a tool that is smart enough and faster than anything to it's essentially like walk out somebody's, you know, plans. I do, you know, see, okay, there is this fear of AI, but like any tool that can also be used as a weapon, like it is what it is in the hands of the person who has it, right? Like beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but the tool itself is, I mean, it's either a tool or a weapon, and it depends on who has it and what they're doing with it. And if their intentions are good or nefarious. But yeah, we do see that. And then I was speaking to some people at RSA about AI being used in cyber flash wars, where essentially like it can, enact different, hacks and viruses and things like that, and have those run out, quickly and destroy systems or services and things like that.
Right. So for our listeners, can you say that term again? Cyber flash wars?
Flash wars, yeah.
How is that different? Is that the same along proxy wars, or is that a preemptive campaign?
It's more preemptive.
Wow, flash wars. That's nice. I didn't know that term.
So just switching gears a little bit when we're looking at, GRC or governance, risk, and compliance, but just knowing that that's a significant part of your expertise, could you explain like why GRC is critical for businesses today, and maybe share some like best practices for organizations so they can strengthen their GRC frameworks?
So GRC is important because it gives you insight into your organization's weakness and strengths, and gives us a way to see where you're most vulnerable and what you need to do to shore that up or repair it.
Right.
Whether that is, in your hardware or the software tools you're using or just the business processes itself. It's very important to implement that into your company so that you have a good understanding of what the lay of the land is for your organization and your employees.
In your experience, have you seen any AI capable remediation tactics, like when you find those misses in compliance, those misses in risk assessments and governance overall? Have you seen in your platform any particular remediation tools to those?
So I've seen, so my clients use different tools, and I work with the tools that they use. And I've seen different tools start to implement AI in, whether it's just going over everything and looking for missed check boxes is, something simple, or if it's going deeper to kind of read into, where the threat is and what the answer potentially could be. There are different tools at different stages of maturity, and they all do different things. But I have seen it, come in into the space that I work in, and start automating a lot of what we would search for without it in the past. So it's like essentially feeding us the information. I don't know if it's because I come from like an analog childhood. I'm still like, okay, I'm going to look at what it gave me, but I'm going to go back and double check too. I want to do my due diligence and make sure that, my eyes were on everything that I'm responsible for. Like, I'm not ready to just hand that, because I'm still accountable for it. I can't say like it wasn't me, it was the AI. Like, I can't, I'm still, at the end of the day, like, it's my responsibility. I'm accountable. But
sounds like
it
you're from
has
the
been
era
automated.
it sounds like you're from the era that knows what cheat codes are. You don't want to, you don't want to be the one implementing them.
Right? Yes, exactly.
So balancing a demanding career in cybersecurity with personal life, can be challenging. So how do you stay updated with like the fast-paced changes in cybersecurity? As we all know, big part of cyber. But how do you stay updated, also dedicating time, to your family and personal interests?
I'm a robot, actually.
I made an infiltrator. There she is. She said it.
No, I think the secret used to be coffee, but I did have to give up coffee a few years ago, which was horrible. I was telling Dr. Joseph, I started drinking coffee when I was like 10 years old.
Wow.
No joke, because I had to stay awake during Sunday school, y'all. I was staying up late on Saturday nights. No, but it's just balance, a lot of planning, managing my calendar, and I get excited anytime a meeting's canceled, like everybody else. Yeah,
I dig that.
I'll admit it. I'm so
no
sorry.
stand up. That's good. I love that.
Oh, wait, it's okay. I'll find some things to do. No, but it's just, it's a balance and making sure that everybody's, getting what they need. I have a couple of kids, and they definitely keep me on my toes, and they're very busy and engaged in all the activities that they're engaged in. And sometimes I feel like I'm like a carpool driver, I'm just shuffling y'all around. Like, that's all I do. Like,
his personal Uber, right? Wow.
So, but yeah, I mean, my family likes to play games. We're all kind of, little geeks. I'm a nerd. I like books. I'll read. I like big books. I can't lie.
Yeah.
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 So, I mean, and that's what I do for fun. I love reading. My family, they like to play all sorts of games, whether it's, video games or board games and stuff. So we have fun doing that. And my husband has us all playing D&D, which was new to me until I met him, and it's good because my youngest, when she's playing with us, she plays as one of my pets. So she'll roll for my pet, and then she'll do the math. Like she's counting like the die rolls and the plus ones and all these different rules. And like I'm learning too, like I can't keep track of it. So, but yeah, it's all good times.
Cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Again, we're here with Christina Stokes, vCISO and founder of Narito Cybersecurity on the Cyber Coffee Hour. So again, hit that like button, hit that share button. Hit that subscribe button and share with your friends. We transition here a bit just to get a little bit more about you, Christina. What can you share a little bit? I know you mentioned you were at RSA this year. Just can you share a bit of that experience and what that was like?
Yeah, so I was there this year. I went with ITSP Magazine, and we were recording a lot of different videos and interviews with people there at the conference. There are a lot of presentations that incorporated how AI is impacting what that person was working on, how it either would in the future or how it already currently is. But it was such a great conference. And if you haven't been, definitely check it out. There's a lot of people there that are just very, interested and engaged in the work that they're doing. And it's people from all across the different spaces in cybersecurity. There's, the GRC and privacy professionals or practitioners or the executives that are there. It's just people from all across the board. And I had a blast. It was my second time there. I went for the first time last year. And, this year it was, it was such a wonderful experience. I definitely recommend going to it. It's overwhelming at times, though, because it's 40,000 people, Yeah, and there's a spot like above the expo where you're coming down the elevators, and you can just basically see much of it, not all of it, but there's just a sea of all these cybersecurity professionals, and it's like a reminder every year that there's like thousands of people in this industry that are there.
I'm gonna try to make it.
To go. Yeah. I was trying to convince Dr. Joseph to go, but he was like, "No." Oh my God. I was playing.
Well, next year, I'll try to make more plans. Try to make it.
You should go for sure.
Is it a multi-day event or
it is?
Or
it's I think like 4-ish days, and they closed this year with Alicia Keys. She had a concert there. Yeah, she was the closing keynote speaker, which I thought was exciting because I was like, "What is Alicia Keys?" Absolutely, I wasn't complaining. I was like, "Bring her."
Oh, I'm
I think that's pretty cool though because so for myself, I was at Google I/O there in California as well, and Lupe Fiasco was there, but he's big into AI. So I mean,
wow.
I don't think it's far fetched to see maybe some of these public figures. I mean, they do have a life outside of maybe the entertainment.
I wanted to ask Alicia Keys, like, well, how is AI impacting music? Is it like how does it not just like the production, but in its creation? Like, is it changing how? Yeah, and is it changing what she does, what her process is, or is she dabbling in it in any way?
Well, if you remember, I mean, not too long ago, I mean, the art industry had a big problem with AI because the way it's generating these images and it's not making any attribution or credit to sense. Yeah, I mean, I think it's safe to say not every industry fully embraces AI because it's not making that distinction of okay, this is created by AI, or giving that credit to the proper artists who created, because they say it looks like an image or painting I've made, but it's not giving me any credit. And it's selling and it's making money off of it, selling it online, what have you, but it's not giving it's taking money out of my pocket.
Was it an AI that stood up to NFTs? Remember the NFT wave?
Oh yeah.
Could you imagine if that was like AI derived? I'm sure it was, but can you imagine if that was a byproduct of that?
Could be.
It's just over here remixing everything.
Right. So along those lines too, right? We heard a bit about your career, hobbies, and interests, but we're going to tap into that as well. What obstacles have you overcome or gone through to arrive where you are today in the AI space?
I think, one of the biggest things is that I grew up in an area where tech was more for boys than it was for girls. So it wasn't, even though it was like a hobby of mine and things I would work on, it was okay as long as it was a hobby, right? Like I couldn't get serious about it as a career. Like at one point wanted to go and get a bachelor's in computer science, but, it was like, that's for the boys. So, I was like, okay, I'll do journalism. So I went like in another direction. But I think that was one of the biggest things. It's just that perception that we had that it was, just a guy's thing. And I kind of had to battle against that. Even, later on in life when I wanted to move into, getting a cybersecurity degree in graduate school, there was some, from certain people that I knew, they were like, why are you going into such, a male dominated field? I'm like, why not? Like, it's fun. I like it, and I feel like I could contribute. So, I think that was probably one of the biggest factors. It always felt like something I shouldn't be doing, but it was something that I was interested in. So.
Do you think the perceptions of that when we're talking about like cybersecurity or tech, as far as for women or for girls growing up, do you think maybe like more needs to be done to encourage, young women to get into the field?
I do. I still, I've met some younger women that, still feel apprehensive about it, but there's also so many different programs now for, women and girls in STEM.
Right.
And then also like the organizations that we have for women in cybersecurity as well. So there are a lot of nonprofits that are supporting women and younger women that are, college age and everything, and even high school age to move into the career, get the training that they're interested in. So I'm seeing more of that, but
I'm all for it. I mean, I'll be real with you. You said you're a gamer. I'll never forget when the first Call of Duty came out and a girl gamer scraped me, destroyed me. And I couldn't spawn. I couldn't properly, right? We'll trade call signs again to see. And it never made me want to compete more, right? In Call of Duty, I didn't care about any of my homeboys, that's like, yo, we're going to find her and we're going to go up against her all the time, right? So now in cyber, I want the same smoke. I want the same, I want CTFs, I want coding challenges, and not just for me. I want to sit back and like, but I want the same experience, and I want more female. I call them Valkyries. It's inside joke. I want more to come in and start scraping up the market, right? Because that way we can start to really see who's cutting their teeth in this industry.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be interesting. I'm all for it too. Yeah.
So. Wow. So you mentioned that you started drinking coffee at the age of 10.
Yeah, and healthy. I don't recommend it.
Yeah, no. I mean, honestly, when you said that, it made me think about when I actually started. I didn't start until I was into the military.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was 14, and it was on accidental on purpose, right? So my father always got up and he made like a pot, right? So he would leave the pot on the stove. Try this out. I didn't know what it was. Just every day.
Poured yourself a cup.
Did you like it? Did you spit it out?
Oh, it was awful. Yeah. That's what my motor. So I always call it motor oil. It was awful.
Yeah.
I remember like it was yesterday. It was awful.
Did you didn't put anything in it? No sugar?
No, black. Straight up black. Yeah, right off the stove.
But I drank it. I would drink it black in high school. No sugar, no cream, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then in later in life, I was working on the military bases, and we'd have that Navy coffee, which was basically sludge.
Oh boy.
Navy guys don't know how to make coffee.
That sounds so horrible.
Oh my god, they're putting that in the boat.
Right.
Girl, that's what's fueling it. Like it's the same thing. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Good for the budget.
Oh my god, the image is like, yeah, this is good stuff.
No, but when I moved to the States, it was, the white chocolate mochas. I remember the first time I went to Starbucks. I was still living in Italy. I went to Germany, and there was a Starbucks in Germany. And I was so, I had never been to one. I tried to go to one in the States one time, but it was closed. So anyways, I was in Germany, and I was so overwhelmed by the menu. I didn't know what to order, so I just got a cappuccino. And everyone was laughing. They were like, "You just came from Italy. You're getting cappuccino." I'm like, I don't know what half the stuff on the menu is. It's wild. So, but yeah.
Starbucks messed that up for folks too, to be honest. We were talking about a few episodes. I'm trying to backtrack from my Starbucks experience.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, it's a rumor going around town, but my girlfriend was a shift supervisor and barista, but we have a machine that she will not train me on.
No,
so it's still wrapped up in plastic. I got this whole ritual I'm gonna do and everything, but it's still wrapped up in plastic because I didn't know about the double espressos either. Starbucks just took that experience away from us.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, they have a lot of these, glorified milkshake type drinks too. And then what was the most recent one I saw was a lavender drink. So if you like drinking flowers, you can go to Starbucks, drink some lavender. It's real good.
Yeah.
I haven't had it, but it looks pretty.
They had an olive oil one too.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. That doesn't sound like anything I would want to taste. So
no,
I'll stick with the navy sludge before I try the olive oil drink.
Wow.
So when you're not drinking the Navy sludge, what are some of your hobbies, interests? I know we kind of touched on it a bit, but just what you like to do when you're not concerning yourself with cybersecurity.
I like fashion. So yeah, and I have girls, which is awesome. So we they're all getting into my old shoe collection that I can't wear anymore. I'm not wearing those heels because my feet can't stand them. Y'all can inherit them. But I like, watching movies with my husband. We've got, it's one of those things where it's we never have the time. So we have this backlog of movies that we're still trying to catch up on and all of that. But yeah.
Any favorites? Oh, go ahead. You got it.
No, I'm sorry. I was just going to ask, just on the subject of movies. So you mentioned you just saw Ghostbusters. So Ghostbusters is one of my favorite movies, all time. So the first and second one, and then the recent ones, Afterlife, I thought was really good.
Oh yeah.
I didn't watch Frozen Empire yet. Is that the one you watched?
Yes. Well, we watched the newest two. And then we went, and then just most recently watched the original Ghostbusters. And then we're going to watch the original part 2 next.
Okay.
So my little one was a little bit scared of the slime. The green Slimer guy.
Oh, Slimer.
Yeah. He didn't like him. I was like, but he's so cute.
He's iconic with the Marshmallow Man.
Yes, and the Marshmallow Man. And then the new ones, they have the little, there's 1,000 of them. They're so cute. I kind of want one.
I'm going to check out the Frozen Empire. I think I'm going to check that one out.
I haven't seen it yet. I want to see it. I've seen all of them except for Frozen Empire. But,
nice.
you know what? I might just watch it tonight. Who knows?
Right.
You should. Yeah. Well, go back and watch some Star Wars, too. I actually thought... So I grew up in the Philippines, and I thought Star Wars was stolen from the Philippines because we used to have this Ewok television show, but it was dubbed in Tagalog. So I had never heard it in English. It was dubbed in Tagalog, and I grew up watching that. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is a Filipino thing. I didn't know. And then first time we went to the States, I remember seeing Star Wars stuff and then Ewoks, and it was all in English. And I was like, man, they stole that whole Star Wars thing from us.
That's the first time I've heard
Wow.
Wow, yeah, me neither.
And then I realized, no, it was an American movie, an American show, and it was just dubbed over in our language.
Oh, I see.
My husband's a huge Star Wars fan. He's got lightsabers and things like that. And
he's bleeding kyber crystals in the basement.
I told him that, and he was like, "What in the world?" I was like, "No, seriously, I thought it was, y'all just taking that from us, but I was wrong. Wow. It was the other way around."
Nice. And you mentioned books, big books specifically. What books have you read, or do you still constantly keep up with in cyber and outside of cyber?
Both in and outside of cyber. So like if it's, you know, books for work and things like that, I read a lot of books on cybersecurity laws and regulations, mostly because I need to stay up on that for my job. And just looking at, you know, the history that they've had and the changes that have been made to them as different emerging technology has come in. And then, you know, I like poetry. I read a lot of poetry outside of cybersecurity. I haven't found a cybersecurity poetry book. Maybe I should write one.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and
love letters to my computer. After I've taken a hammer to it for not working.
On this dreary night, I stayed on the keyboard. What cyber law books do you recommend?
God, there are so many. I can't think of them off the top of my head. They're all over on my desk. There are a few different ones that have just come out that go over different AI and emerging tech regulations. But they're mostly just different authors that have come together to discuss the different laws that they've been impacted by or helping to work on or push, essentially. So.
One book that keeps rattling around in my brain is This is How They Tell Me the World Ends by Nicole Perla. Yeah. I finished that and I was like, and then 2 months after I finished it, Leave the World Behind came out. So I'm like, wait a second.
Yes.
So I want to find out if there's an AI regulation for those.
There's another, when it comes to cyber, there's this one called Cyber Crisis. Hold on, let me knock over everything. This one's about protecting your business, but there's another one called Cyber War Will Not Take Place too. I forget.
Adding that to the list.
Yeah, that one. That one's an interesting read too. And then there's one by Brad Smith, Microsoft's Brad Smith, Tools and Weapons, and he discusses, like, that's one of my favorites. Just how, you know, cybersecurity has changed that entire landscape for regulation and law, and, you know, discussing like how cybersecurity has been used as a tool, how it's been used as, you know, a weapon, and the different methodologies behind that.
Nice. Well, Christina, this has been a great, fun conversation with you. Definitely appreciate you coming through.
Thank you.
So before we roll out, anything you want to share with the audience?
You guys are going to come on my show, hopefully in the future soon. Yes,
absolutely.
Right? I'll put 5 on that. I got $2 in my sock, 3 in my backpack. Pretty sure it's happening.
Yeah, you could definitely count us in.
Yeah, I'm down.
Awesome. So thank you for having me. This has been fun. Awesome. It was good talking to you guys.
Good talking with you as well. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you to you, those watching, tuning into the Cyber Coffee Hour. You know, if you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on all of our platforms. You can find the Cyber Coffee Hour on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. That's it. That's a wrap. We out of here. Peace.